Hey guys, Laura here with STP. If you're watching this video, it means you're taking the March SAT soon. And if you've been studying for a long time, awesome. If this video is the first thing you've done to get ready, I will say a prayer for you. If you haven't studied that much though, don't stress it. In this video, I have my top 10 last minute expert tips for you. And worst case, if you totally bomb this test, you can always take another one. So make sure you subscribe to my video just so you don't miss out on future content if you have to keep prepping to do another. Now, before we get into the problems, this video is brought to you by Preply, the OG digital SAT prep app that's available in the App Store and in Google Play. If you are trying to get some last minute prep in before your test and you've exhausted all of the College Board materials, Preply has over 1,000 unique questions in both the English and the math. So we're on our phones all the time, right? So maybe instead of scrolling through TikTok, guys, you can be a little productive this week and do some practice problems in the Preply app. So go ahead and click the link up here and go download Preply today. All right, before we get started with my top 10 expert tips, I would love to hear from you guys. Comment below and tell me what your favorite last minute tip is for the SAT. All right, guys, tip number 1. This is an execution tip. I would recommend you start at number 27 on the English modules and work backwards. Not only do I want you to start at number 27 because those questions at the end are easier and quicker to do, but it will warm up your brain, help you get way more points, and then you're tackling the harder, more time-consuming ones last. I would even recommend skipping numbers 15 to 11-ish because those are the toughest reading questions. So I think you should skip over those and then come back to those and save them for last. I use this execution strategy on the November SAT and it helped land me a 1590. All right, tip number 2, on reading questions, I want you to look for 3 wrong answers instead of 1 right answer. There are trap answers galore on the English and they're all going to sound really good. So if you're trying to do what we typically do on tests in school and look for the right answer, they are going to trick you. So I want you to be really judicious when you go through the answers, put your detective caps on, and really, is there such thing as a detective cap? I don't know. Do they? I don't. Okay, that was weird. I don't know. You know what I mean, though. I want you to go through each one and ask yourself, what is wrong with this? What is wrong with this? If you can find something wrong with 3 of the answers, then you are more apt to get to the right answer. All right, tip number 3, if you are running out of time, especially on the harder module 2, and let's say you have too many questions left where you're not going to get to them all, I want you to Christmas tree. Okay, Christmas treeing basically means guessing by picking the same letter over and over and over, because theoretically, at least one of those questions, the answer is going to be that letter. I personally like to use D because, I don't know, I find that the SAT likes to bury the answer at the end a lot. However, here's the thing I need you guys to know. If you need to guess D for like 5 questions, don't be too trigger happy and pick them very quickly in a row. This algorithm is adaptive and it is smart enough where it's able to guess or to pinpoint when you are randomly guessing. So you want to give yourself a little bit of time between each answer selection so that it doesn't count them as wrong. Now you're probably wondering how I know this. Well, I know this for a couple of reasons. 1, a College Board VP confirmed this, and 2, I ran trials when the Blue Books first came out and I actually picked D for every single answer and I got the minimum score, which is a 200. That made no sense to me because some of them should have been D, right? But the algorithm knew I was randomly guessing because I was selecting my answers so quickly. So I would say try to count to 5 or 10, like 5 Mississippi or 10 Mississippi in between each selection to make sure that they count it if the answer is D so that you get one right. All right, tip number 4. just like a big game where you're going to warm up before the game by like running laps or stretching, I want you to warm up your brain on test day. So in the parking lot, before you go into the test, you should do this easy warm-up set of practice problems we have. I'm going to link it down in the description for you right now. There's no answers to it on purpose because you cannot check answers in the real test. I want you to do the warm-up feeling confident in your answers, and also they're easier answers, so it's really just going to get you ready for the test. So you should probably know the answers to most of these, if not all of them. All right, tip number 5, if you're stuck on a vocab question, play positive negative. You might get to a vocab question where you don't know all the words. Please do not panic. There are strategies you can use, and playing positive negative is a great one. So if you can determine if maybe you need a negative word in the blank, go through the answers and ask yourself, okay, what word sounds negative to me? That'll give you a better chance of picking up the point. All right, tip number 6, when you do any algebra on math, I want you to write all of your workout on the scrap paper. Guys, if you don't write your workout on the scrap paper and you're trying to do it up here, I promise you, you're bound to make careless mistakes. You've got to get back to basics. So make sure you're like subtracting 5 from both sides of your equation. You're dividing by 3 on both sides of the equation. Do the stuff that you were taught to do in 7th, 8th, 9th grade and stick with that, and that'll really mitigate the careless mistakes. All right, tip number 7, when you're on English, always read the question first. Make sure you read the question first on the reading passages so you know what you're looking for when you go to read the passage. All right, tip number 8, annotate on tough English questions that are hard to follow. So this is going to happen to you a couple times probably on Module 2 in that range of 11 to 15. You're going to get to a really scientific passage or really complicated, logically completes the text question, and it's going to be hard to keep track of all the information. One way to annotate that I really like is using a T-chart, especially if they're comparing two things. I'll put one thing on one side of the T-chart and one thing on the other side. But regardless, I like to just map out with some quick shorthand notes what's going on so that I can keep track of the information. You're probably thinking, Laura, wait a minute, that's going to take me too long. I don't have all the time to do that. I promise you, you will have time to do that if you're really good with your grammar rules, your transitions, and the vocab, and you can get through those quickly. I had enough time at the end of Module 2 on the November test that I was able to take a bathroom break, and I still got a 790. So it's all about time management, having strategies in place so that you can get through stuff quicker. So the ones that need more time and are going to take longer to solve, you can devote that time to those. All right, tip number 9, I want you to use metacognition while you're taking that test. So metacognition means thinking about your thinking. So to give you an example of a metacognition tactic that you should use on the test is I always want you to think about where you're at in the test, like what module you're on and what number you're on. For instance, if you are on Module 2 Math and you're on number 20, so you're like almost to the end, these questions are harder. If you get the answer to the question in like 15 seconds, question that. That's a red flag. It should not be that easy for you to answer. So use metacognition, take a step back, and try to rework the question because you're probably making it too simple. On the flip side, if you're on a really simple question, like number 5 on Module 1, and you're taking 10 steps to solve it, you're probably overcomplicating it. So use metacognition to recognize those times you're overthinking questions too. It may involve flagging the question to come back to later so that you can see it from a fresh perspective. All right, my last and final tip, tip number 10, don't forget about DESMOS. So there's a time and a place to use DESMOS, and it will make solving some of the math questions easier. So just make sure that you're using DESMOS when appropriate because you can save lots of time and mitigate careless mistakes if you're using that calculator tool in the right way. And if you want to learn more ways to use DESMOS, we have an awesome lesson in our math self-paced course. So I will link up here right now so that you can go get that and then become a DESMOS a Desmos guru. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and type last minute tips in the comments below if you made it all the way to the end of this video. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm manifesting a 1600 for all of you right now, sending good vibes. And until next time, happy prepping.